Students, we are now going to do a video on Mathematics Level 3, the subsection Differentiation. We are going to be moving to first principles. By now, you should have been introduced to the section on differentiation, understand why and when we use differentiation. For now, according to our guidelines, we are required to establish the derivative of the following functions using first principles. First principles is also called the delta method. The functions that we could possibly be tested on is f of x is equal to b. Highly unlikely that you will get an example of this nature. F of x is equal to x. F of x is equal to ax plus b, which could be in the form of an example like 2x plus 3. F of x is equal to x squared. F of x is equal to ax squared plus b, which could be in the form minus 3x squared minus 4. At level 3, we will not be doing any examples that go into the form of x squared plus 3x minus 4 or any fractional components as well. When we are dealing with first principles, we come across a very simple formula to use, where we have f prime x, which is the derivative, is equal to m, because we know derivatives offer us a gradient, and this is equal to limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x, all divided by h. Now, if we have to use this formula, we can go ahead and find the derivative from first principles. I also would like you to know that that formula is given to you in the formula sheet. Let's look at a simple example. Determine f prime x from first principles if f of x is equal to x squared. First and foremost, I know first principles means I use this formula. The next step, I write down the formula, and if I look at the numerator, in the numerator, I have f of x here. This f of x is the f of x as in the question, which is x squared. This is f of x plus h, which is something that I need to find first. So I go ahead and I write down the question. F of x is equal to x squared. I first need to find out what is f of x plus h, which means wherever I see an x, I remove it and replace it with x plus h, which means there was an x, I removed the x and I replaced it with x plus h. Next step, I simplify this, and you know how to go about doing this. You do the first term, square it, multiply all around x times h times 2, and then the last term squared. And this gives you x squared plus 2xh plus h squared, which now means I know the value of f of x plus h. If I go back to the formula, it means I know this portion here. I simply take whatever this value is and I substitute it into the formula, which means now I am looking at limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h is this portion here. And that is minus f of x, which you can think of as being the question, divided by h. Now, as you go down, you will continuously keep the limit as h approaches 0, and you will take it away almost at the last step where you are going to substitute the value for h. All I need to do is to simplify the numerator. If I simplify the numerator, it means I remove that bracket, and that becomes minus x squared. The moment I do that, whatever I had as the f of x component, that has to cancel with something else on the numerator. If I look at this example, you can distinctly see that I have the x squared, and I also have a minus x squared. If I go here, the x squared cancels off with the minus x squared. And then if I have to go further, on my numerator, I have 2xh plus h squared divided by h. On the numerator, you always remove h as common factor. Even though you might be tempted to remove other aspects that are common, only remove h. And on my numerator, if I remove h as common factor, I'm left with 2x plus h divided by h. You remove h as common factor because you want that to cancel off with the h in the denominator. And if I go further, it means I have limit of 2x plus h. And at this stage, I consider h as being 0. So in place of h, I put in 0, and 2x plus 0 is equal to 2x. Expect this in the examinations for about 4, maybe 5 marks. Let's go to the next example. Determine f prime x from first principles if f of x is equal to 1 minus 2x squared. Or it could be minus 2x squared plus 1. I know first principles, the formula that I need to use. I know that I'm going to start off by first calculating the value of f of x plus h. The question is f of x is equal to 1 minus 2x squared. And by now you know that all I do is, in the place of x, I remove x and I replace it with x plus h. There's the 1, there's the negative sign, there's the 2, there's the squared. All I did was I replaced x with x plus h. And now I simplify. If I simplify, it means I can work this portion out first. Then I can multiply by the 2 as in the case of here. And I end up with 1 minus 2x squared minus 4xh minus 2h squared. I now can go ahead and start working with my formula. I know I have f of x plus h on the numerator. I know the value of f of x plus h is given as this over here. In place of f of x plus h, I'm going to put that. And if I start, the next step will be limit. I know the value of f of x plus h. This is a minus f of x, and f of x is the question, which is 1 minus 2x squared. Obviously, you know that you have to simplify this portion. If I simplify that portion, I get what I have in green here. Once I have the value here, I know it is going to cancel off with something somewhere else in the numerator. If it does not cancel, it means you have done something wrong. For now, I can see the negative 1 cancels off with a positive 1. The 2x squared cancels off with the minus 2x squared. And I am now left with minus 4xh minus 2h squared divided by h. As normal, on the numerator, I must only remove h. Someone might say, but you can't remove 2h. But as I said previously, only remove h as common factor because you want that h to cancel off with that h. And now you have minus 4x minus 2h. And the last step, you consider h as being 0. If I put 0 in place of this h over here, 2 times 0 is 0, and I'm only left with an answer of minus 4x. Thank you.